UFC Fight Night, Barboza versus Murphy just took place, and I'm a little sad. It was a tough night to watch, man. Just tough to see Barboza go down like that. But I'm gonna break down the card, starting with the early prelims. We're going all the way up to the main event. I'm breaking it down, giving my reaction to every fight in the card, and my overall reaction, which is this is a terrible card. Some really bad decisions, really bad fights. Just a classic like Apex card that we didn't want to see. We watched legends die. Like this was just terrible overall. Miserable fight night. Can't believe I'm watching this, but at least Fury versus Usyk was a great fight. So we're gonna get right into it. Um, the first fight was let me pull this up for you. I'm doing this wrong again. The first fight was Vanessa Demopoulos versus Emily Ducote. And one of the things that I said was going to happen, or could have happened, is Ducote's going to win this fight, and it's going to be a sketchy split that could go Demopoulos' way, but I thought that they weren't going to do that for like the 15th time in a row. Ducote very clearly won this fight, outstruck Vanessa Demopoulos, was just fighting her so much better, landed really good leg kicks, did more up to the head, mixed in the body shots, was so much more accurate. And Vanessa Demopoulos just she's got to be sleeping with judges, dude. She's got to be sleeping with judges or Dana. She used to be a stripper, and I swear she is just putting out for these guys because there's no way that she can win her like fifth robbery in a row. I can't believe it. So I start 0-1 on the card based off of a robbery. So another stupid split decision that goes Vanessa Demopoulos' way. It's undeserved. Vanessa Demopoulos should arguably be like 7-7 right now. Or what's total 16 fights? She should be honestly 7-9, like maybe even worse. But yeah, Vanessa Demopoulos gets a robbery decision again by just sucking off the judges and Dana White. So we go to the next fight, and I go 0-2. Clayton Rodriguez got out grappled by Alatelli Long. Alatelli Long didn't land any significant strikes, but had a lot of good rabbit punches on the ground. He really just won this fight by taking down Clayton Rodriguez and being more active on the ground. Clayton Rodriguez didn't really have anything for him. Very, very boring fight, low level. Clayton Rodriguez is confirmed awful. Alatelli Long did what he had to do to win, so respect to Alatelli Long. Gets this one done. I go 0-2. And then I go 0-3. Second fight off of some bullshit in this card. Carnelossi wins the fight because they clashed heads and they called it a DQ. No idea why they would call that a DQ. Piera Rodriguez was on her way to winning this fight, was on her way to possibly getting a finish, and they call this a DQ. I don't have any words for why it's a DQ. Accidental clash of heads, like I don't get it. I don't know what the UFC thinks they're doing in this one. Carnelossi should not have won this fight. Terrible officiating. I'm sure Dana might have something to say about it, but he definitely didn't watch this fight. He knew he put on a shit card and he wanted to see Fury versus Usyk. So much like most people did, Piera Rodriguez loses this fight. I go 0-3 to start the card. 2 fights off of some bullshit and 1 off of me pretending that Clayton Rodriguez is any good. Then we go up to a dominant decision win from Abus Magomedov. So I get things right here, 1-3. I did think Abus was going to get a knockout, but overall I knew he had great grappling and he really wet blanketed Warlley Alves. But the thing is, he actually landed a lot of good damaging shots. He landed really good elbows from the top position, splitting Warlley Alves open, but he really just wet blanketed him, held him down for the whole fight. Warlley Alves had nothing. It's probably time for him to retire or just take a low-level fight to just try and get a win before he retires. Abus can start looking up in the rankings again. I actually am going to have him matched up against Joe Pyfer. I will be doing a matchmaking video, very brief, 5-6 minutes, just telling you who I want to fight who, because there just aren't good enough fighters on this card to match up, or at least to have a full video that's lengthy about it. But really good win from Abus Magomedov. Wins round 1 easily, wins round 2, gets a 10-8 by just beating the piss out of Warlley Alves while he's on the ground, and lastly wins round 3. Clear win. This one's funny. Low-level women's fight. Melissa Gatto just looks 10 times better when she fights compared to Tamara's Vidal. Tamara's Vidal is an awful fighter. Absolutely god-awful. Good striking from Melissa Gatto. Really good grappling and imposing her will. She ends up punching Tamira's Vidal in the boob, and Tamira's Vidal just says she doesn't want to fight anymore, pretty much. Ended up icing her boob after the fight. Was pretty funny, but low-level fight, very, very good win from Melissa Gatto. She's actually got some talent, so I'm interested to see where she goes next, but Tamara's Vidal is just a fucking awful fighter. Just classic Apex card, am I right? Omar Sy got a win over Tuco Tokos, exactly how we saw it. Tuco Tokos did not want to take the seriously at all. I get it. He took it on a couple days' notice, but essentially Omar Sy gets the takedown and just controls him for 3.5 minutes and eventually gets the choke. It was absolutely dominant. Omar Sy does not have a crazy amount of skill on the feet, but he's a good grappler. I'd like to see this dude. He mentioned in his post fight that he doesn't not a part of a gym, which I think was like a reach out for help to say, hey, does anyone want to take me in? Which I'm sure that he can find a gym that'll take him in. He has a lot of potential. They can just round that out, and he's a really young prospect. I think he has potential to be good, but he's got to go to a gym, learn more, and be able to slowly work his way up the rankings. I got him fighting like a Tanner Boser next, or maybe even someone lower level than that, just because I want him to rack up wins, keep that 0 on his record, and make sure that he can consistently train and learn. Someone's got to take him in. I would highly advise not going to Cyril Gahn's gym because Cyril Gahn ducks fights, and he doesn't take his fighting career seriously. He would rather be in movies than fight for the title. So Omar Sy needs a gym. Someone's got to take him in, and I think they will. I think we'll see in a couple weeks that he gets taken in. Tom Nolan versus Victor Martinez. Tom Nolan's going to get sparked one of these days again. So, but he ends up winning the fight, just outstriking Victor Martinez. Looked really, really good on the feet. Crispy started throwing knees that almost landed. His boxing definitely needs I don't want to say more work, but it's his defensive boxing. He's got to move his head a little bit more, keep those hands coming back to the chin. He kind of hangs them low and he just leaves them out there. But really, really decent striking performance at range. The kicks are really good, throwing good knees. Victor Martinez does wobble him and knock him down. Nolan ends up getting up and then just landing a great knee to the body right in the liver and ends up TKOing Victor Martinez. So good performance from Tom Nolan. Good first round knockout. Angela Hill just beat Luana Pinheiro. Very, very pretty simply. They were kind of going back and forth on the feet, but Angela Hill was getting the better of it. She got into the control of the grappling, and there really wasn't any threat from Luana Pinheiro for her on the ground. Eventually, you can see Luana Pinheiro start to gas out, and Angela Hill in round 2 just started taking over, outboxing her, and then end up getting a guillotine off of just bad grappling technique from Luana Pinheiro. Angela Hill just gets the guillotine, then turns over and actually gets the mounted guillotine, gets the second round finish. This was a very, very easy pick. So all of a sudden, I go on a big streak on this. I was 0-3 to start, but then I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row here. Make it 6 in a row. Adrian Yanez's first round knockout, was looking for the counter shot the whole fight and eventually found it, knocked him down, and then ends up beating the shit out of him on the ground. Holy shit, what a late stoppage. Vinicius Salvador was in trouble. Vinicius Salvador is terrible. Time for him to get cut from the UFC. Really, really good win from Adrian Yanez. He's just a much better fighter. I'm ready for him to start moving up the division. There's going to be a fight that I haven't matched up with. I want to know what you guys think. Dom Cruz. I think Adrian Yanez, Dom Cruz could be a really, really fun fight. It gives him a shot at the rankings. It's Dom Cruz, a winnable fight for him if he wants to retire soon. So Adrian Yanez, Dom Cruz sounds good. Good first round knockout from Adrian Yanez, though. Really, really good power. Good slick boxing, great counter shots, good performance. Themba Gorimbo versus Ramiz Brahimaj. Grappling the entire fight. You can see there was literally 14 minutes of total control. Themba landed some leg kicks for a couple seconds of the fight, I guess. But overall, Themba was doing more damage. He was just stronger in the clinch. Every time Brahimaj would go to clinch, Themba would end up just reversing the exchange. Ramiz would go for a takedown. Themba would reverse it and get up on top. That's literally how this fight went. And then round 3, they go stall against the cage, and Themba just lands a bunch of good body knees, and he very clearly wins this fight by out-grappling and doing more in the grappling department in terms of landing strikes than Ramiz Brahimaj. So Ramiz Brahimaj, again, I think he was prepared for this fight. I just think he didn't realize how strong Themba Gorimbo was, and I'm surprised Themba had the pace that he was able to put on. I know he works in a really good cardio gym, but he looked very, very strong, very, very imposing. Didn't love his post-fight, making it all about him, but I think there's just a language barrier there. So good performance from Themba Gorimbo. Yeah, he just dominated Ramiz Brahimaj. Would like to see him continue to work up the rankings, and I actually want to see him fight the winner of the co-main event, Chaos Williams versus Carlston Harris. Carlston Harris is an absolute idiot. tremendous grappler, decides he doesn't want to grapple at all, landed some punches on Chaos Williams and got confident, and Chaos Williams caught him with an absolute flush right hand knockout. Fight lasted a minute and a half. Great punch from Chaos Williams as they're getting the exchange, just flatlines Carlson Harris. I think him and Themba Gorimbo should fight each other for a chance to fight one more guy before they get a shot at the rankings. I think that's the right way to do things here. Good knockout from Chaos Williams, not much to say. Carlson Harris is just an absolute idiot when you're I don't want to say world-class grappler, but when you're an extremely talented grappler and you don't shoot a takedown on Chaos Williams, he's going to knock you out. So, stupid low fight IQ. I lost that fight. And then this one, Lerone Murphy starts in round 1 and is just outboxing Edson Barboza. Barboza looks like he is just getting caught watching, getting trapped in the boxing exchanges, decides he doesn't want to throw any kicks, which are his best weapon. The body kicks were wide open. That lead body kick was wide open. He decided he didn't want to throw it at all. Disheartening to see. Round 1, they get into boxing exchanges, and Lerone Murphy is just peppering Edson Barboza, jab, jab 2, and he is just outboxing Barboza, gets Barboza to the ground, and then Barboza throws an upkick, and Lerone Murphy was pretty much out. Regardless, he recovers in between rounds and then just puts the pace on Edson Barboza, and Edson couldn't handle it. You can see he landed 220 total significant strikes to the head, just jabbing twos all the way up to the head, was beating up on Edson Barboza. Again, Barboza had the body kicks wide open. When he would spin kick to the body, he would crush Lerone Murphy. He was landing good leg kicks. The kicks were there for Barboza, but he just wasn't throwing them. I don't know if he was hurt. I don't know what the deal was with Barboza, but it just looks like he doesn't have any gas left in the tank. It was really sad to see as a major Edson fan. I thought he was going to be able to pull this one off. I thought he would use his best weapon, which are his kicks. And very clearly, if Lerone Murphy fights someone that can kick very well, he's going to run into trouble because the kicks are wide open. Like, Yair might smoke his ass, and I don't think Yair's that good. But Yair will probably get smudged into the ground because he's got no grappling. Yeah, man, this was tough to see. Edson Barboza was landing great leg kicks in round 2, but Lerone Murphy just put the pace on him. Then in round 3, Lerone Murphy put the pace on him, outboxed him again. Round 4, Lerone Murphy beat the piss out of him again. And then round 5, Lerone Murphy just shows that there's nothing left for Barboza there. Barboza had these kicks wide open, man, and that's all I'm going to keep saying. These kicks were wide open. He decided not to throw them. It's a somber mood because I end up finishing this fight 7-5. This brings my total record to 135 and 76, so still a good record, but tonight I was 7-5, not good. Definitely want to be better on that. But if I can keep my bad nights to 7-5 or 6-7, I think was the worst one I've had this year. It's all right, but this one was hard. This one was really hard. I had Barboza's the last leg of a parlay. The kicks were there, and I gotta say, Lerone Murphy walking out of the cage after this had his leg absolutely beat up. So, just disappointing to see. His leg was beat to absolute shreds. Good performance from Murphy. Had Barboza guessing the whole time, used his feints really well, and it looks like just Barboza ended up having nothing for him. I swear the body kicks were there, the leg kicks were still there, the spin kicks up top were there, but Barboza just didn't have anything in the tank, didn't want to use his best weapons, and it might be time for Edson Barboza. As far as for Lerone Murphy, next matchup I want to see for Lerone Murphy, I'm going to go with Calvin Kattar. I think that's a great matchup. It's a boxer. They're going to start striking. It's going to be a really, really fun affair. I think he's got good takedown defense against anyone that's not Aljo. I think Aljo has a different kind of chain wrestling that Lerone Murphy just doesn't necessarily have. That's a great matchup. Lerone Murphy versus Calvin Kattar is the way to do it. And then if Edson wants one more fight, maybe give him Caceres because they're both out of the rankings now, or Barboza's going to be moving down a couple spots to like 15 and Yusuf will fall out. Or Sean Woodson. Like, I think those are winnable fights. I want to see Barboza have a winnable fight before he retires, but he might just retire. That was a sad performance. Again, 7-5 on the total card. Overall, the card was terrible. You had a bad split decision to start. You had a boring fight from Alatelli Long. You had a bad DQ. You had a Boos not fight his most entertaining fight. Who else are we going to go to here? You had a boob knockout. You had Omar Sy just choke a guy out that didn't even want to be there. Tom Nolan he had a good knockout, but it just wasn't anything impressive. Angela Hill gets a good win over a hot lady. Adrian Yanez gets a good first round knockout. Themba and Ramiz have the most boring fight of all time. Carlson Harris forgets how to fight, but a good knockout from Chaos Williams. And then we saw Edson Barboza get smudged, or not smudged. We saw him just get outclassed. And sad to see, man. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. But overall, I didn't like the event, so I apologize for the somber mood.